From the Peterson Event Center on the campus of the great University of Pittsburgh, inside Pitt Studios, welcome to the award-winning Pat Narduzzi Show. I'm Larry Richard with Panthers head coach Pat Narduzzi. Coach, a big homecoming win, a tremendous response game for your team, 77-7, a lot to like, and good to get that one under your belt.
It was good to rebound, bounce back from the previous week. I was really excited about the way our kids played. They played the way they should. That game ended the way it was supposed to end, and it shows a lot about our football team, the character they have to come back from the adversity they went through the week before, and hopefully they learned a lesson.
And the New Hampshire Wildcats came in 3-0. They're going to do well, I'm sure, in their conference play, and conference play begins for the Pitt Panthers for the rest of the regular season. So it does ratchet up things a notch. It has to.
It really does. I think our kids, felt it this week. We talked about it Sunday night, about getting into the ACC play, and every one of these games is important. We talked 2 weeks ago about how the ACC is the ones that matter. We could be 0-4 right now, but we're going to ACC play, and it's a one-game season. Basically, Georgia Tech game is a championship game.
I don't remember at any level a game where I saw 5 quarterbacks on one team. So you had a chance to give everyone some touches, which is good for morale too.
It's good for morale. It's good to get some of those young guys in there. Maybe the only time they ever get in there. Eli Kasanovic got in. He was the 5th guy in. We had one more quarterback we couldn't get in. Ran out of time. We didn't go overtime. But, me and Coach Whipple were talking about that yesterday, how I don't think he's ever gotten 5 quarterbacks in a game either. But it was good that they got that experience.
And how about your starting quarterback, senior Kenny Pickett, another amazing performance, and he continues to do what he does. In fact, your offense is so prolific. You scored 40-plus points, 4 consecutive games to start a season for the first time in the history of Pitt football.
Wow, EJ didn't tell me that. That's another new stat. And you know what those stats will get you in the ACC? Absolutely nothing.
Zippo.
Okay. Matters of putting up 40 this week. It'll be a good day. But we're going against a really aggressive defense in Georgia Tech, so we got to come ready to play.
Yeah, we'll talk about Georgia Tech. They surprised a lot of people with their performance last Saturday night. But back to last Saturday, so what were some of the takeaways for the coaches from individuals' performance in all 3 phases of the game?
Start with special teams. I thought Kirk came back and punted better than he had previously. Whether it's his drop or whatever, Cal might have played well. And I thought, we gave Ben Sauls a chance to kick some extra points just to find out, and that didn't go well. So we got to, Sam Scarton's our guy right now. We got to, go with him. He doesn't get the ball up as quick, so those are some of the concerns you have if you get into a tight game. And we know we're going to be in those in the ACC, kicking field goals. But the beautiful thing is Kessman's gone, and we got a new field goal kicker, and we're scoring touchdowns instead of field goals, and that's what our intentions were going into the season. Obviously, offensively, the receivers and Kenny Pickett obviously are playing at a high level right now. And again, the competition's getting ramped up this week, so they're going to have to play well. And then, in our backfield, you looked at what Rodney Hammond did, and Izzy played well, and Vince got his reps, and so we got 3 tailbacks, a lot of work in there, and then you could see that all 3 of them have the ability to help you this season.
And Rodney Hammond Jr. came in, and he scored 3 consecutive touchdowns, and those were tough yards deep down into the red zone. He made that happen too. It wasn't just a walk-in.
Yeah, it wasn't. I always talk about running backs being your own blocker, and he was making plays on his own. He was making people miss. He was being physical and running through people and getting the extra yards. So that was great to see.
So you had a chance also, to just gear up for ACC play, but that is a big step. So how do you get them ready to go down to Atlanta for the 3rd year in a row?
Well, 3rd year in a row again. You just continue to do it. The week doesn't change. The opponent changed. But again, we can't beat ourselves. It comes down to what we do in this game. It's not, it doesn't ever come down to the opponent. We got to look at their looks, but it's how we play, how we execute. And execution is going to be critical when we get into this game Saturday.
Coach, before we get into the player awards, let's talk about the defense from last week. A lot to like. 0 conversions for New Hampshire on 3rd down, and a lot of other very positive things from your defense.
Yeah, we did a lot of great things. Really, there's probably 2 plays that you take back in the game. Otherwise, you'd say it's almost a perfect game defensively. And there's a lot of techniques and fundamentals we can clean up. We did what we needed to do. They played fast. They played with an attitude. We aggressively blitzed them when we blitzed, and You go to Phil Campbell's safety early, Damari Mathis's picks. Those are some of the highlights of making just some big plays and scoring on defense for the first time this year. Of those 70 some points, obviously you give 9 to the defense. They scored 9. That's a good day. That's a good day for the defense, and it doesn't go on the defensive scoring. It goes onto the offensive scoring. So that's good for our offense.
And Brandon Hill talked today about getting your eyes right. We've heard you say get your mind right, but part of that is get your eyes right. What do you mean by that?
Well, you talk about some of those RPOs that we saw in the last few weeks, and we see them every week. We're going to see them the rest of the year. That's kind of the age we're in 2021, and you have to have great eye control. Everybody would like to stare at the quarterback and see what he's doing, but you have to have eye control on your man. And your guy, whether it's a tight end for Brandon Hill, his eye control is on that tight end. If that tight end blocks, well, then he fits on the run game. If the tight end releases, he's got to have good eye control on him. And the same thing for our free safety and corners. They got to have eye control on the hip of a wide receiver, but just keep their eyes where they need to be. And that's so critical in anything we do. Cam can talk to you a little bit about linebacker reads and what he's keying and where his eyes got to go from maybe an offensive tackle to a running back to the mesh. There's all those things, and he plays a tough, important position in all those RPOs because he's out of the box and he's kind of stuck in the middle of the run and the pass. And we've got some things in, we've got some stuff built in, and we'll continue. And we're going to see him this week with Georgia Tech for sure.
And a lot of fans probably don't realize the fine intricacies that each player is doing on any given play and adjustments they're making based on what they're seeing from the offense. So let's talk about the player awards, the players of the week.
On special teams, we had Cal Adamitis. There was nothing exceptional. The other big play I would say was, Jalen Barden's, punt return. When you talk special teams, he had a nice punt return, and we'll continue to get him more work at the punt return spotting, even the kickoff return. But Cal Adamitis, grade out 100%, and you think of all the extra points we kicked and the few punts that we did. He is just money with those snaps. You just watch him. He's a professional long snapper, and we've been excited with him. Damari Mathis obviously had a pass breakup, but that pick six that he got was just a great job of having his eyes where they needed to be and making a play on the ball. He vision and break like he needed to, and he showed he had some running back skills when he took it into the end zone. And then offensively, we had two of them, Kenny Pickett and Jordan Addison. How do you not give it to them? But like I always say, there's you were sitting there picking one guy, but that offensive line protected Kenny all day and gave him the opportunity to throw those passes. But Jordan's playing really well, and Kenny's playing as smooth as he as I've seen him. And 6 TD passes, rush for another, became the leading quarterback, I guess, in Pitt history for rushing TDs. So those are our players of the week.
Yeah, no team in the country has scored more touchdowns than the Pitt Panthers this season. But it doesn't work unless your linemen are working up front. How about your offensive lineman of the week?
It was Gabe Hoy. We've had 3 different guys, or really, I guess 3 different guys this year make it, and Gabe Hoy is playing really good. He got switched from right tackle because of injuries and played the right guard position, did a heck of a job. Gonsalves took over for him, and he had a blast in there, and he may play some of it this week as well.
Yeah, and he was your guest, special featured guest on the show.
So maybe Cam next week.
Cam Bright, who'll be coming up shortly. Yeah. Unsung heroes, players you looked at that did a job that maybe didn't pop to the average fan.
Yeah, Daniel Carter's playing really good on special teams. So he was kind of the special teams unsung hero. He also, again, offensively had a block that nobody noticed, okay, because he was, that unsung fullback in the game at the time. We had really pony backs, and he did a blocking. He pancaked the guy in the end zone, just took him, put him on his back. It was one of the better blocks I've seen all year out of a running back or a tight end for that matter. So Daniel was our guy there. He's playing well. Defensively, Haba Baldonado with a sack, a TFL, another quarterback hurry. He's playing well. He's so locked in, engaged in what we're doing. He has followed in the footsteps of Patrick Jones and Rashad Weaver of just, working on the details. And he's in the office right now still watching videotape as we speak. So Habo's that guy. And then on offense, our freshman tailback with 17 carries and 100 yards, Rodney Hammond, who was up on the ladder. Not too many true freshmen get to get on the ladder after the game and sing the fight song with the band.
Good
But he was leading. I didn't appoint that, but he's a guy in camp can tell you, who's tough to block or tough to tackle, and he's a guy that's shown a lot of ability at that running back position, and it was good to get him 17 carries and 100 yards.
Yeah, looking forward to talking about the matchup. We'll have former Pitt quarterback Pat Bostic join us, and senior captain, linebacker Cam Bright, is in the house. Coach's special guest for the week. So a lot going on as the Panthers get ready for ACC action that Saturday from Bobby Dodd Stadium on Georgia Tech's campus in Atlanta. And we'll be right back. You're listening to the Pat Narduzzi Show, presented by Dollar Energy Fund from the Pitt Panthers Radio Network.
To buy a home, start your search at howardhanna.com. You'll be the first to see new listings, find similar properties, and connect with a local Howard Hanna agent. Get started today at howardhanna.com.
Being home.
Last year was unique.
It was odd not hearing the fans in the stands.
I can't wait for this year to start. Let's return to Hines.
The band,
The crowd.
the hits, the big hits.
College game day. The scrambles. The big catches. The sacks.
The celebrations.
One more dive to the pylon.
Welcome back to the Pat Narduzzi Show. Larry Richard with Cam Bright, senior linebacker who played his senior year in Alabama. Let's talk about your performance last week. You had a great game, and your team really gelled and had a response. I'm sure you guys felt better about yourselves, but now the focus is on Georgia Tech. I heard you watched the game. You had an opportunity to watch your next opponent last Saturday night, right?
Yep.
So the whole country thinks North Carolina's going to go in there and just mop up on Georgia Tech. That's not what happened. So what did you see?
I seen Georgia Tech just run a turnover battle like Coach Narduzzi talks about all the time. You know, when you win that, you got a higher likely chance of winning the game.
Feeling pretty good about themselves. But from their offense, they had this young redshirt freshman who tore it up last year. He was injured but was able to come into the game and did some great things in Jeff Sims. So what's your scouting report on Georgia Tech's QB?
Contain them, man. You know, those DNs got to keep them in that pocket. D tackles got to get penetration. You know, when we add in or Coach Bates calls a blitz, we got to get them behind the backfield.
And we talked about Brandon Hill saying, get your eyes right. That's what he said, Coach says. And I asked Coach about that. What does that mean for you in your position as a linebacker?
Zone in on your keys. So, you know, my eyes are on the tackle, the mesh, running back stance, you know, dip. Or is he flat with the quarterback, things like that.
But those little things can be the difference, right, in a game of you making plays.
Yes.
So when you're standing there, who are you looking at?
The tackle.
Okay. And then if the tackle looks like what? He's going to block down, and what makes you determine whether you are waiting for in your role, you have a specific role, whether it's going to be
just
a
high hat, low hat. You know, low hat fit the run, high hat, reroute, get a reroute, help the safety out.
And how much do you think Georgia Tech's going to be throwing the ball compared to their run balance?
I think they'll run the ball more than throw. You know, they have a great freshman running back and the quarterbacks.
Yeah, this Jeff Sims was pretty impressive last week. And was it surprising to you to see that they did so well against North Carolina? Because preseason, all we heard about was North Carolina, Miami, Clemson, and we saw Clemson lost again. What about Georgia Tech? What was it that you thought they did so well that made them able to upset North Carolina?
They're getting adjusted to their new offense, you know, coming off the triple option. So, you know, they're getting adjusted to it and comfortable with it, so they're just executing the play calls.
So what would you like to do post-football? Obviously, I know you're focused on this season, and would you like to play on Sundays, I assume?
Yes, of course.
And then what?
You know, just raise my son, you know, be with my son.
How old's your son?
He's 2.
Terrible twos yet?
Terrible 2s. Started early.
I'm sure your parents are thrilled, right?
Yeah, they're happy to be grandparents.
That's a whole nother level when that happens.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me, I know. It's one of the few things in life, Coach, that actually is better than you think it'll be. So I'm happy for your family, and you're a great dad and a leader as a captain of this team. So good luck against the Yellow Jackets or the Ramblin' Wreck of Georgia Tech.
Thank you.
All right, senior captain Cam Bright. And when we come back, We'll get Pat Bostic's take on the first game in ACC action when we return on the Pat Narduzzi Show, presented by Dollar Energy Fund on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network.
Stick together, attitude and effort all day long, okay? And we go Pitt tough.
Welcome back to the Pat Narduzzi Show, and welcome former Pitt quarterback and Associate Athletic Director of Major Gifts, Pat Bostic.
I love it.
And for our
What's up,
radio
man?
audience, sporting a very snappy Pitt vest.
Yeah, it's nice. You can buy it in the team store. Pit shop at the Pete.
It's looking a little tight there, Pat.
That's right. I'm wearing it tight. Getting ready for the heat in Atlanta.
All right. Yeah, I was just looking at the weather. Saturday, partly sunny, 84. Looks like it's going to be a good day for a noon kickoff. Coach, this is our savant on the team, right?
Gosh.
As the color analyst, it's really your job to break down the X's and O's.
Yep.
I want to know how much film you watched, the cut-ups, and everything this
I
week.
watched the whole North Carolina game, and I was impressed.
Did you sort it? How do you
No, I just buzzed through it and tried to rewind it and watch their defense. The defense has evolved for sure. They play fast. They play hard. That Rover's tough. I always hated playing 3-down teams as a quarterback.
So explain for the fan what a 3-down set looks like for defense. Why is that so different?
Zero technique, 2-5 techniques. Now, they don't all play that all the time. They'll bump and they'll play a G, and you got to find who the rush guy is so you can ID the mic. That's the key.
So the mic is
middle linebacker.
Right.
So
there you see the quarterback.
They like to rush their Sam linebacker, so you try to ID the middle of the front so you can direct your protection, so you know as a quarterback where you're vulnerable. That was always tough against a 3-3-5. West Virginia was a 3-3-5.
So when the fans see Kenny Pickett walk up, he'll call out the mic,
probably the center.
Or maybe
the
center
and
calls out the
quarterback
mic.
Yeah, it depends. It depends what you're doing. But, I mean, generally speaking, you want to ID the mic. That's the center of the defense. And then you can attribute where your line's going, where your back's going, and then you know where you're vulnerable in protection. And from a run game standpoint, who the line's going to account for. But they're a 3-3-5, and they play a rover defense. They'll play quarters. They'll play one. They'll play 3 deep. They're good. I mean, they played really hard, and Sam Howell held the ball forever in that Carolina game. And a lot of those sacks weren't jailbreak sacks. They were coverage sacks, which was impressive. But Kenny's got to get rid of it and be on rhythm, and we got to get guys open again against them.
And names we're going to hear from Georgia Tech is their Sam linebacker Charlie Thomas, who's done a great job this year. He had, 2 picks, 6.5 tackles for loss, 2.5 sacks. He's one of their star players.
He is, yeah. He's a guy they like to bring a lot. So, I mean, he's that field linebacker who they'll pressure, and they do a nice job on the back end. They got a couple of veterans. Oliver was a quarterback a few years ago and starting a corner for him, playing a lot of football for him. Swilling's been there for a long time, forever, and obviously, they got some guys on the back end that have played a lot of football. Quez Jackson's been there forever too, so they've gotten better. They've kind of assimilated to Jeff Collins' scheme. I think offensively, you watch them and they're much different than they were 3 or 4 years ago, obviously. But they were a different team when Jeff Sims came in the game last week. I thought he really opened things up for him. Obviously, he was banged up, and Carolina didn't account for him very well. And he had some huge plays in the run game where you just forget about. I don't know how you forget about that guy, but you can't forget about that guy because he could pop the top off with his feet, and he's got a big arm.
Yeah, and a lot of design quarterback runs.
Yep.
I know Cam Bright said earlier about keeping him in the pocket, but there's design quarterback runs, whether it's a fake bubble / whatever he sees, or quarterback draw, and they run some quarterback counter with him. They run some quarterback powers. So there's some design runs, and he can go.
Hey, he's good. I mean, and they'll spread you out too, like Tennessee. They'll spread you out to the numbers and beyond the numbers, and I'm sure they're watching the Tennessee tape and they're like, hey, we're going to do that. And it'll be fun because that's what you learn from early in the year, right? What you get beat on, what you get punctured on, how do you adjust to it. And it'll be a nice game of cat and mouse. And obviously the offense has got to deal with a new look. So I'm excited about this game. I think it's two teams that are probably going to get a little chippy. It's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, and I told Coach I'm looking forward to how Pitt's offense will match up against the redesigned Yellow Jackets defense.
It comes down to one-on-ones. You got to find a way to get one-on-ones, and I like our ones versus their ones. So we'll see what happens. Jordan Addison's had a heck of a year, and the thing about it that's unique. Any defensive coach, I'm not giving trade secrets away here, but any defensive coach will see he's lining up in different spots than he's lined up before. He's playing more positions. His knowledge is better, and you can put him at different areas in the field. He's not just a slot receiver, which makes it tough to game plan around. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. And Kenny's been playing at about as high a level as any quarterback in the country. And obviously though, you got to do it against a stiff test. This is probably the best defense you guys have faced all year, and it'll be a nice test for the first game in the conference play.
And what did you take away from Saturday's game in terms of the running back performance? You see Rodney Hammond Jr. hit exactly 100 yards. That's kind of that number you like to see. But overall, the bigger takeaway for me was how tough he ran in his 3 consecutive touchdowns.
I like that, and I liked Izzy in checkdowns. Checking the ball down to Izzy and picking up a 3rd and 11 on a, best time to check it down is when the defense is retreating. Georgia Tech will play some 3-man rush, 8-man drop, which is what UMass did against, Pitt in the opener. And if you get that, you get the ball to that tailback quick, you got 6-7 yards. That's like a run play. And I liked what I saw out of him. Vince ran hard, and the young man's got a chance to be pretty good, I think. He's a kind of a meat and potatoes runner. He hits it hard, and sometimes you can't find him until he's out the other end. And that was kind of like Deion Lewis. He played with Deion Lewis. It was like there wasn't a lot of flash to him, but next thing you know, he's at the second level, and you're trying to scramble to tackle the guy. So it's good to have options, and we need to run the ball this week. Ran it last year against these guys. It'll slow them down. A lot of teams have tried to blitz Pickett, and we'll see if they try to do it too. I'm sure they'll try. But the best way to get him out of that is to gash him on a run and make them think twice about their gap integrity.
What about the performance of the receivers? You mentioned Jordan Addison, but Kenny has some other options too if they key on him. And
Plenty. You got plenty of options.
We got plenty.
Hopefully
we have plenty all available too.
Yeah.
Plenty available is good too.
Yeah, obviously Jared Wayne didn't go last week, and he's had a great year. Jared's caught balls against Tennessee and obviously against Western Michigan and broke tackles. And
Shockey's had a good year.
Yeah.
Taysir, of course.
Yeah, Taysir's really stepped up.
Jalen Barden's yards per catch is probably 35 yards per catch.
And Jalen Barden's going back to Georgia, so he is excited to get into this game. I can guarantee you that.
I would imagine, and he's so quick. He's fun to watch, and you have him returns too, and he did a good job Saturday.
He really did. Had a nice punt return, and we'll probably get him re-involved in that kickoff return too.
All right, bottom line is, what do you see the Panthers matching up against Georgia Tech?
I see a dogfight, and I love it. I think it's going to be a war. Just watching last year was a chippy game. I think it'll be a war and a great ACC Coastal Division, showdown. And I'm looking forward to being there. It'll be beautiful, and I expect Pitt to play well. I expect the Panthers to be ready to go and up to the test. And I know Georgia Tech's going to be fired up. They're all coming off a huge win. They're going to be high, and it's your job to bring them down. So that's what you do when you go on the road.
That's what you need to know about Georgia Tech with Pat Bostic, brought to you by PNC Bank. Make today the day. Partner, looking forward to seeing you Friday on the Charter and heading to Atlanta, Georgia.
The Charter, man. They got Chick-fil-A still?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Francis out there at Robinson Township. Give him a little love.
We'll get Billy a bib, and we'll be good to go.
You came to Tennessee. You had the Chick-fil-A,
We did a different plane to Tennessee.
Oh, he was with all the...
he was the bigwigs.
Yeah, he was with the bigwigs.
Major gifts,
donors,
right?
yeah,
major gifts.
Right, yeah. Now I'll be next to Borghetti. And
I'm waiting on a new one, too. I'm waiting.
Yeah, we're working on it. I had a couple calls today, so...
All right,
if you
thanks,
know anybody,
Pat.
let me know.
Appreciate
thanks,
it.
guys.
Pat Bostic and some final thoughts with Pat Narduzzi, presented by Dollar Energy Fund on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network.
When you're ready to buy a home, start your search at howardhanna.com. You'll be the first to see new listings, find similar properties, and connect with a local Howard Hanna agent. Get started today at howardhanna.com.
Being home.
Stick together, attitude and effort all day long, okay? And we go Pitt tough.
Inside the Pitt on the campus of the University of Pittsburgh, it is the Pat Narduzzi Show. Getting ready for some final thoughts. And, Coach, exciting to go into conference play and head on the road. And
we're ready to go. We've had a good week of practice so far. The keys. The keys are going to be. Special teams got to be better than their special teams. It's going to be a battle on offense and defense. We've got to win the turnover ratio in this game. I think it's critical. They lost it against Northern Illinois, and they've won it every other week, which has kept them in the game. So we can't turn the ball over on offense, and we've got to get some takeaways on defense.
Yeah, they've been ball hawks, and they've been able to get those turnovers, and those are so critical, each and every one of them, as you always talk about.
Yeah, there's no question about that. And defensively, we've got to stop the run game. They like to run the ball. They're doing a nice job with their run game. They mix it up. They got a lot of different things. If you overplay one play, they're going to get you with another one. They got a lot of things that complement in the run game, so they love to hand it off. I mean, we haven't talked about Jahmyr Gibbs, their tailback, is fast. They've also got the Jordan Mason, who we played against last year, but we did not play against Jahmyr Gibbs a year ago. But he's a starter. He's fast. He's got great hands out of the backfield. They'll run him on wheel routes. He's an exceptional football player.
Yeah, he's a young talent too, and he has 6 career starts, so they trust him, and he's paid off for them too.
He's a football player. We've got to nail down the run game, and again it opens up some things in the passing game, but we can't let them be two-dimensional.
Well, you think you guys are ready?
They're ready to go, Larry.
Get your minds right, Coach.
Get your minds right. Get your eyes right too.
Eyes right too. Good luck against the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets on the road.
Thanks, Larry. We'll see you Friday.
Yeah, looking forward to it, really. This is going to be a fun matchup, especially to watch Pitt's awesome offense against the newly charged up Georgia Tech defense. And we want to thank you for tuning in. Our executive producer is PJ Kamanchik, Amanda Soleil producing here at the Pitt, Cale Berger back at Master Control, and appreciate his game day contributions. Pitt's Paul Bartow and his team do an outstanding job, and a special thanks as always to Executive Associate, Athletic Director, Media Relations, Man of the Year, E.J. Borghetti. And Pitt Beyond the Script, Saturday, AT&T Sportsnet. That's at 10:30 a.m. Plus, the Pat Narduzzi radio show on television will air Friday at 4:30 and Saturday morning at 10. And again, kickoff is at noon. Our pregame starts at 10. Bill Hillgrove, Pat Bostic, and me roving the sidelines during the game. You've been listening to the Pat Narduzzi Show, presented by Dollar Energy Fund on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network.